Not a bad morning at all to get this harvest started. Welcome to the first official morning of Harvest 2019. We got several things to do this morning to run around, get things buttoned up before we can hit it really hard. Dad is at home working on some stuff with the new wet bin, getting things shuffled around there so we can dump, but we did get some beans taken off last night. Today is gonna be the first day of going hard. I expect it'll be a little bit of a late start, but the good thing is it stayed windy all night, so the beans are dry. If you watched my last video, I explained how the beans a lot of times will pick up moisture overnight, which makes it difficult to cut them, difficult to feed through the machine. But when the wind stays up the way it did last night with 20-mile-an-hour winds, the beans stay dry. At that point, you can pretty well go right away in the morning as long as they were dry to start with. So we're ready to go here. We're just shuffling stuff around, like I say, and getting things ready to hit it hard this morning. There's always work to do in the mornings, especially the first couple of days. This is the first time I have ever actually unloaded this grain cart. So I'm a little uptight here. I shouldn't be starting in the back of the truck or dumping over the tarp side either. But I am. That is a massive spout. Much easier to see than our Parker. Oh, that's a nice header trailer. First load of the year, here we go. Gotta have my morning can of coffee. It's sterile and I like the taste. That one looks a little flat on the bottom. We have decided to get the combine moving, so I'm gonna head down south to the field and get that going. Jim just showed up. He's gonna work on a couple of things with Dad before heading down here with the next empty truck to pick me up and hop in the grain cart, just so we can keep the machine moving, and then we'll probably switch places later. Oh geez, the neighbors are going. We gotta go, gotta hurry, gotta go. I've worn this coat maybe 3 times, and somewhere along the line here this morning, I got into the grease. She's broke in now. We are cutting. I'm gonna hop out right here and see what kind of a job we're doing. We got some awfully good soybeans right here. These are 60 to 70 bushel beans, which is really, really good here. That's good anywhere, but really good here. I'm gonna let it clean out, and I'm gonna hop out and see what kind of a job we're doing, because the beans should be drier this morning than they were last night. A little breezy out. Oh yeah. Considerably drier. Not quite dry enough though. I'd say these are at about 16.5%, which is what the monitor pretty close to reading. Still wetter than we want them, but with this sun and wind, give it an hour and they'll be at 15 or 15.5. They'll be about perfect. It's go time. Things are looking pretty good. We'll take them wetter for an hour and they'll dry down. We got a bunch more rain coming in 3 days. Sounds like about 2 inches of rain. We got to knock out as much as we can at this point. When it's past the middle of October and we haven't been able to get anything done yet, it's definitely go time whether conditions are perfect or not. Here is an edge of the field where there's not supposed to be any water. It comes all the way out past that tree. If you can see that tree that is tipped over on the fence line. And I was so busy watching the water in the sides of the field that what I didn't notice was that tree limb heading into the feeder house. Hopefully that tree branch will feed its way up. Big enough that I wouldn't have wanted it going through the machine. I don't think, it more than likely wouldn't have wrecked anything, but hey, you never know. We don't need that going through there. John Deere should eat that up no problem. Some of the other combines, it could have been a big issue. Good morning, Jim. Enjoy that new grain cart. Some pretty poor beans on the tops of the hills here. But hey, it is what it is. I've gotten a lot of questions as to why we're not using the 780 at this time. So the deal with the 780, which is the brand new John Deere combine that we have in our shop right now, the deal with that is we have it for a limited number of hours. And what we want to do is try to run it some on soybeans and some on corn. And with 2 inches of rain coming here in the next 3 days, we got 3 days of good going, and then we got that 2 inches of rain that they're forecasting. It was going to be a lot quicker to just get this machine going, get everything moving, and knock out as much as we can in the next 3 days here. After that, we are hoping to move that 780 onto soybeans and start running that machine some. We might even at that point move this one to corn and then have one machine that we can run for either crop depending on what field we want to go on in that day and what's going to go depending on the weather. So that would be really handy. But that 780 for now is still sitting in the shop with the intentions of bringing it out. And check this out. I'm gonna drive through a bunch more standing water here. Next time I do it, I'll have the camera set up so you guys can kind of see that, but it's tough. I got to raise the header up out of the water, but still try to get as many soybeans as I can. This is not water that ever stands here. It's wet. We're wet. We have a lot of moisture in these here parts right now. So here's that area with standing water. You can see we had a lot of issues with water hemp weeds getting in here, so it's weedy as well, but this water's probably 4 inches deep here. This was bone dry when I planted it this spring. This is where that air system really helps, because I got to lift the header up out of the water, because you don't want to send water through the machine. It'll take it without being too much of a problem, but the problem you run into is mud. If you get much mud in the machine, you can have some bigger issues. So there we're out of the water with the head, but the machine behind me is still struggling in it. The tires are tough to turn going through the water, through the mud. Sure hope he's got my lunchbox in there. I left it in the white semi this morning. That's obviously why I'm starting to shrivel up and wither away. Here's a couple areas on a side hill where clearly the soil is way too dry, because we have had a ton of rain this summer and there's still not much of a crop here. So this is the type of situation where the air reel, or not the air reel, but this wind system, for people that have been asking what these yellow tubes are for, what the wind system does, it blows directly on that cutting bar and helps to feed the short crop onto the belt, because what can happen is that crop will bunch up on the cutting bar and can actually fall forward and out of the machine. What the wind system does is just help push it back onto that belt to make sure we're going to get that crop. Made it through twice. What? There were beans in there. Field 1 for the year is done. Now it is time to make field 2 on my field view active. And then we will take off, start field number 2. This one is about 120 acres, a few rolling hills, usually pretty decent dirt. Here we go. Soil, pretty decent soil. Sorry about that. The west half of this field, which is this half that we're pointing towards and headed to now, gets a lot wetter than the east half back there. I've been struggling going along the road ditch here in some wet areas where I've got to use the brakes. We've got a right brake and a left brake. I've been using them to have to steer the machine, even with it in four-wheel drive with the rear tires helping to drive. I don't expect this area in front of me to be real lovely. We're always up for a good challenge anyway, aren't we?
Yeah, I get
being used as well. I will say at least we have better beans over here, and they're considerably drier. For some reason, I don't know the science behind it, but driving through water, you're actually usually safer when it comes to not getting stuck than you are when you're driving through just mud. Don't know what the science is, but there's got to be some there, because I can tell you after years of experience that that is the truth. 5 to 7, why don't you meet me about halfway back here? You can turn around before you have to go through that wet spot that's up in the north. Not a rock. So I watched a small rock roll onto the header, and I shut everything down just in time to see it get pulled in by the center belt. I heard a little noise under the feeder house, but not much, so I'm just gonna drop the rock trap, because I know at this point it hasn't wrecked anything, but obviously I don't want it in there. Getting a little mud on the tires. A lot of spots like this. Don't see it. Where are you? People ask what that sound is, that annoying sound. It's the ProDrive system that these John Deere machines use. It looked pretty small and brittle, and I don't think it went far at all. It kind of went in there as it was slow, so it may not even be to the rock trap yet. There's most of it down there. Found her. I got it shut down before it ever even got hardly into the feeder house, and it was already broken into a dozen pieces or more. It was a pretty soft, flat, brittle rock, so I wasn't too worried about it, but obviously didn't want it in there. Just like I don't want this water hemp plant in there. Where's the bathroom at? Oh yeah, there it is. Are much drier than the other ones. They're the same variety, and they were only planted a couple days apart, so I don't know what the deal is, if this soil was that much faster or what, but they're definitely 3–4% drier. These are about 15%, so 2.5 to 3% drier. I'll take it. They're yielding considerably better as well, so that is a good thing. But it also means I need to recheck the settings for the combine, because we got drier beans coming through, so I still want to make sure that I'm doing a good job back here. When I look up here behind the header, I see that it's awfully clean there, so I'm catching the beans at the header, but when they come through the machine, I'm spitting a few out. It's not many, but there's a few, and they're getting way out here, which means they're coming over the top, they're ending up in the chopper, they're getting thrown way out. So I'm gonna make a few adjustments to make up for that and clean that up. Well, I'm struggling through the mud right now. You can see all my tracks over there. There's just spots in the field that are not working out. And with 2 inches more rain coming in a couple of days, those spots are probably not going to get any drier for the rest of harvest. So we're gonna go through them, get it done. FBN Todd, what's going on? Hey, I'm out here combining some soybeans down by Starbuck, and I'm noticing some water hemp patches, which got me thinking about chemical for next year. And I know FBN's got a big chemical blowout mega extravaganza online deal. Yes, that, November 15th. Get in touch with me when, don't let me forget about it, basically. Hey, have you sold any memberships today, by the way? One? Well, that's pretty good. You must have let him know that he could save $100 by using the Millennial Farmer as a reference. All right, thanks, Todd. Bye. It's getting just dark enough. Let's hit them. There we go. If you're not following me on Instagram or Facebook, you should be. Check out that picture that I just got.
because if you turn around and you're driving the field to fill you up, the feed's out of the right side on the trailer. The driver's side, I mean, left side.
Yeah, no, I know where it's at here. I'm just gonna swing around here and I'll back up to it.
10 feet will be pretty good, I think.
He's gonna let me know before I run
Just
it.
keep backing up 10, 15 feet. You can straighten it out more. The other way, yep, that way. That'll be plenty good.
Can we get the ladder down there?
Yeah.
It's an FST 990 from Thunder Creek that Nessa out of Zeering, Iowa brought us to use this fall. It's a demo right now, but this thing is pretty sweet. Full, and that thing is sweet.
Welcome to Drinking Bros. Sit back, relax, and grab a
5 to 7, how does that tractor handle that new cart when it's loaded like that?
Yeah, here it is. I mean, it's great. It's really nice.
It's got enough power in these hills and soft ground?
Yeah, so far, yeah.
Beautiful. We've got muddy spots just everywhere in this field in areas that aren't even typically wet. There's never a problem right here. Never has been in our 25 years of farming this. And I am spinning through it right now. There's no standing water between the rows, but as soon as I go through, water fills in the ruts that I'm leaving. If we get another 2 inches of rain, honestly, we might be done taking soybeans until the ground freezes, and then we'll be able to come back over. Hopefully we don't get snow on them in the meantime, but if the ground freezes, it's hard on everything, especially the header, but it may be the only way we're going to get these soybeans out this year. It's a unique challenge. It's always something, but mud is especially challenging a lot of the time. There, I'm up on top of a dry knob hill. I can finally use my auto steer for a minute again until I get down here. For people wondering why we don't wait and why we're out here mudding up the field and doing this, because it's definitely not good for the soil, it's not good for equipment, and it's a lot more work. But the reason we're doing it is because at this point our soil will not dry anymore. Next week, after the 2 inches of rain, we've got highs in the 30s. That's in the 30s Fahrenheit. So we will not dry anymore. This is as dry as we're going to be probably until next May or June. Running late. Nighttime harvest. 5 to 7 I'll dump into you this time, and then I'll hold the rest on the hopper. You can take this back and empty it, and then if you want, you can take off with that truck in the fuel tank. Maybe tomorrow we'll find a field that we can actually drive around on a little bit more and trust that grain cart moving around. And there it is, the final row of the second field of 2019. That's it. I'm done. I've had it. I always hate this long drive home in the dark, so I'm gonna do it the easy way. Well, the lights are on, but things are quiet. The dryer is not running yet, because we don't need it to yet. But that wet bin is filling up. We're gonna run some dry beans into one of the other bins tomorrow. I'm gonna go get some sleep. It's not going to be long before those lights all stay on for about 8 weeks straight. Check out that harvest moon behind me. It's that time of year. Here we go.